one of the main sort of participants in wokery in public life, visibly, is an author called Philip Pullman. And Philip Pullman wrote a mildly entertaining collection of books for children. And the entire ethos around the books was to try and criticize Christianity and to criticize God. And you get to the end of it, and you realise all he's done is reinvent God. So he creates this concept. He attacks an established church. You know, the magistrate. It's all bad. It's all evil. It's fine. That's very entertaining. And anyway, organised religion and churches can get bad and corrupt. So I'm not against you there, Mr. Woman. I'm with you there. But in the end, he has this concept, this monotheistic concept called dust, and it's dust that gives divinity, and it's dust that is fundamentally where we go to. Dust is what our souls exist of and are made of, and it's just obviously one God. It's just obviously monotheistic, and it's obviously loving, and you're like, oh my God, you've just reinvented Christianity.
They've reinvented Christianity without what has always struck me as the most extraordinary thing about Christianity. As you know, I'm very definitely an atheist, but I'm an atheist who was brought up in it. And what is staggering about Christianity is that sense of reality, that sense of tangibility in the Gospels. I mean, those great phrases, by their fruits ye shall know them, the parable of the talents. It's always, what are the results? You shall know things by their result. It's okay, there are miracles, but whether you believe in them or not. But what's extraordinary is each miracle is, as it were, tested in a quasi-scientific fashion, and that's what I find so astonishing about it. It's not, the kind of tales that you get in the Quran of, winged horses and the moon and other such nonsense. There's a real sense of, we saw it. It was tangible. It was there.
I mean, I would query a question the Book of Revelation.
Yes, indeed. But that's poetry. That's poetry and knows it's poetry.
Well, it's in there to keep the peace at the Council of Nicaea because the Gnostic Egyptians were really kicking off. So you just got to admit that. Let them in. Give them that.
I think we're about to disappear into our own empyrean. Yes. Shall we come back onto this other thing that I'm really keen to talk about, because I'm sure you know more about it than I do. How did we land ourselves with this dreadful online security bill, passed yet again under a Conservative government, like the legislation of net zero in 2050 by Theresa May, like non-crime hate incidents under David Cameron? How on earth?
Well, let me explain. And
you're not going to tell me you some responsibility for the damn thing, are you? Yes.
I'm not responsible for anything, but if people ask me to give them specific legal advice, I will give them specific legal advice.
I hear a lawyer speaking for the first time. Yes.
And I don't like to leak what I do and don't do. But ultimately, the great Faustian pact that leads you to the Online Safety Act is in 97, or post-Maastricht, really. So John Major's up to Tony Blair's great at getting all the attention on this, but John Major's very up to it in his neck in it too. Post-Maastricht, the EU runs you. And the EU is trying to create a one-size-fits-all where all 28 member states are identical.
And you use law. You use law.
Yes, and their tool is law. Although I wouldn't say it's genuine law. I think that the EU exist as a sort of perversion of law, because there is no clarity to any of their law, and that's because they've got a pet court that will do exactly what the Commission tells it to do, so they don't need clarity if you've got a pet court. If you've got a court that will read something that says down is down and up is up as up is down and down,
So again, the perversion of language.
Yes, and it is perversion. It is Orwellian, and it is psychotic in my view. I don't think we talk about psychopaths quite enough. We used to do it a lot when I was a child in the 80s. We don't seem to mention them now as though they've gone away. I don't think they've gone away. But so it's fundamentally EU law. Okay, just always remember that. And the pact is, if you come in, go on the telly, look impressive, go to conferences, fly in private jets, and shut up and do nothing, we will carry on making your laws. And that's the same pact that almost every prime minister, except Boris Johnson and Liz Truss, were willing to accept. And look who got taken down, one of them very quickly, in event to that. Mr. Sunak, for all his virtue, and I think you're very kind to Rishi, although I do also think he's a lovely chap. I've got a list called, who would you leave your kids with? And he's on my list of people I would trust, to look after my child. So I'm not anti him in any way, but I think he also accepted this Faustian deal.
Oh, certainly. I mean, he's a standard member of the globalizing elite.
Yes, and so just go on the telly and the civil service will run everything. And Keir Starmer has clearly accepted exactly the same deal. And the problem is the wheels are falling off this bus because actually the civil service doesn't have the slightest clue what it's doing, and it's becoming increasingly totalitarian as it gets scared. And the Online Safety Act, which is mirrors EU law. Okay, this is why there are currently. I saw an account from Sweden saying, why was I censored? You know, when this is stupid UK law. And it's like, well, because you've got stupid EU law. Welcome to the world of stupid laws, mate. But it is fundamentally oppressive in the desire to protect children, which I think fundamentally it can't do, and the wanting to be safe as a human universal need.
Oh, but isn't it also a terrible problem? Can I remind you the word safety appears in the title of that act? Can I also remind you, but I'm not sure that I will quote him correctly, of Benjamin Franklin saying a man who will sacrifice his freedom for his security will lose both. The entire EU is a safety-first regime, isn't it? The ludicrous overregulation is safety first. Now, I want to put a very different case to you. Don't we need, again, this is a form of perverse Christianity, the notion, and I'm afraid Dr. Johnson was in the wrong here. Johnson says that the true test of a state is how it treats its poor. I don't think that's true. I think that we need laws, as in the Greek view, that deal with the free man, that we need a legal system that assumes a degree of intelligence, that assumes a degree of moral responsibility, that assumes a degree of independence of action and of agency. The moment you start uttering this word child and safety together, what you do is, well, you do exactly what this government is doing. You give the vote to children, and you treat the rest of us as children. I'm afraid, don't we need this really? You're a parent. I'm not. But don't we need a hardening of hearts?
We need dads back.
Isn't what has gone so hideously wrong this universal rotting of the mind, compassion? You mentioned Goebbels. I think Goebbels, is the one. Whenever I reach for my revolver, whenever I hear the word compassion, I want to reach for a revolver because somebody is going to produce mental slush. And I think isn't what we're heading to the equivalent of your hitting your head against the wall, of Dr. Johnson kicking the stone? It may be that the riots, the demonstrations multiply to the point at which there can't be 10 police cars for each site, as we've been seeing now. Or it may be a financial crash that will make 1976 look like child's play. Or it may be a multiplication of what the doctors are doing, who will then be leapfrogged by the nurses, who will then be leapfrogged by the lab technicians, who will be leapfrogged by the radiographers, and we will get another 1979. Birmingham already has a 1979. It has already got the piles of rubbish in the streets. We produce 1/3 less electricity than we did in the 1990s, when we depend on electricity more and more. In other words, well, I should say, we've only 2/3 the generating capacity. This is deranged. We're hanging by a thread. Reality, that thing that you talked about, isn't it about to hit us?
Yes, and I think that it's likely to do so across the entirety of the West because we went down this globalization route. I always like to point out the difference between apples and Cavendish bananas. So literally every banana anybody listening to this or watching this has ever eaten is a Cavendish banana. That is one variety of banana. Very low statistical chance anybody watching this has ever eaten a non-Cavendish banana. Apples, loads of different varieties. if a disease comes along, and it probably will one day, that attacks the Cavendish banana, overnight we might have no more bananas.
I would not weep a single tear.
Well, that's fine, and neither would my child.
I loathe the
That's
thing.
absolutely fine, but overnight we would have no bananas. If a disease came along that attacked golden delicious apples, the other types of apples would take over. And that's the difference systematically between being globalist, which is one identikit system, which is if you get one flaw, it can go catastrophically big because you're all designed in exactly the same way, and being systems being slightly different so that a bad thing can't necessarily spread from place to place. We are globalism, so we are all experiencing this problem at exactly the same time. It's no surprise that every single Western nation has all of these problems.